What's up guys, and welcome back to B.A.M.F Fabricator. I'm Tubal Kane, and today we're going to be widening these bug fenders about 2 inches. I'm going to show you the process of how to do that. Let's get started. We're going to start by going from this corner and marking about 3/4 of an inch in for our tape line. So from this corner, just put a little mark, 3/4 of an inch, except for when we get right here to this hole. We're going to end up coming down and sectioning it right in between these two holes. Because the reason why is because if we came in 3/4 of an inch in here, it would be too close to this hole, and we don't want to do that. We want to stay away from this hole, section it right here. This is a nice flat area, so that's going to give us a good spot to go ahead and move this out. Now that we got pretty much where we want, let's run that tape line down this fender. That way we know exactly where to cut. This is 1/4 inch fine line. You can use basically whatever you want, masking tape, doesn't really matter as long as you know where you're cutting. And always mark the side of the tape that you're gonna cut. That's a good little tip. So there's our cut line. Now, like I said, this is my cut side. That way I don't accidentally cut on the wrong side of the tape. All right, let's go ahead and cut this. All right, so now I made these braces. Okay, I'm gonna put these right on the outside and clamp them for now. We'll eventually cleco them in, but I just want to get my 2-inch space and kind of see what this fender's doing when I move it out. If you're fabricating and you don't have a good set of clecos, get yourself a set. So we got it braced up. We got about a 2-inch gap in there now. You can see right here, the sheet metal isn't going to exactly line up. This is dipping down and this is coming out. So now if we add a piece, it's not going to line up. You're going to have a type of emming right here, like the metal's going to em over. So we're going to have to deal with that, but that's not too big of a deal. Now, I'm going to want to take this off and on. That's what's good about these clecos, is I'm going to be able to put this fender in the same exact spot that it is right now. So I'm going to go ahead and mark all these from 1 to 5, going from the front to the back, just so I know where they go after I take them off. 4, 5. Now put an arrow towards the car. So I'm thinking the best way to do this is probably to do it in sections. You don't want to try to do this all in one go. It just probably frustrates you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start probably with this section right here, and I'm going to use more material than I need. So we got a 2-inch gap, but I'm going to go like 4 to 4.5 inch piece to come here, and I'm going to roll it in the English wheel, and I'm going to try to get like a beautiful nice curve that comes from this corner all the way out, and then we can manipulate the sheet metal from there. I don't necessarily need this 3/4 inch flange right here. I'll use it if I can. If not, then I'll cut it and I'll weld right on this corner. Whatever we got to do to make it as beautiful as possible, that's what we're going to do. All right, so what I decided is I'm going to go ahead and tack this one in. That way I could get at least a bigger piece to work with. I think we could do a little bit bigger piece in this section. So I'm going to grind some of this paint off, throw a couple of tacks on this. Okay, now that I got that tacked and those clecos out the way, I'm gonna make a tape template or a paper template going from here to maybe around this area. The reason I'm gonna template this is because if I just cut a straight piece, it's gonna come like this. We're gonna be missing this end and this end. So if I template this over, I'm gonna end up cutting a piece of metal that's got like a little bit of a curve to it, which is gonna follow this line. So let's go ahead and template that. Okay, let's mark 4.5 inches from the body or that corner flange. About right here. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we're gonna cut some of this off, make it perfect later. Put some fine line tape on it. Okay, let's pull it off. Okay. Don't do that. Okay. All right. We'll keep this template because we could use this for the other side. If you're working with sheet metal and you don't have one of these shears, get one. I'll throw a link in the description. All right, let's go ahead and cut this out. There's our piece of metal. Make sure you grind off these edges. You don't want any of these fish hooks sticking you in the finger. Looks pretty good. So that's going to wrap over the top pretty nice. Let's start getting some contour in this thing. All right, we're going to start with stretching the center of this panel in this sandbag. That'll give us a little bit of curvature and kind of make it somewhat shape the contour of that fender. So. See how that naturally curves when you hit it in the center? It's creating these tucks right here. These tucks are wanting to shrink as we're stretching the center of this panel. That's exactly what we want. Just give it a little more. Notice I'm staying away from the edges. I'm only hitting in the center. Let's try that. Oh yeah! See that? It's closer than it was. Let's start planishing that. I'm just going to put some light pressure on it just to knock out all these lumps. Crank up the pressure just a little bit. All right, let's try that. It's actually starting to look pretty good. You see how this goes from here and it comes up nice and smooth. We got a little bit of a gap right there. I mean, that's still pretty close. We could just wheel it to smooth it out a little more. This side seems like it needs to be stretched a little bit more, or shrunk in this area. Bring this down. It's actually looking pretty good, and we're moving along pretty quick, so just keep going on the wheel. Mark this area. Mark this area, letting me know that this area kind of needs to drop down a little bit. I want this panel to go in the same spot every time, so I'm going to go ahead and put a mark on it. So that way we can line that up every time. See, when I bend it that way, it starts to straighten out a lot. What we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna probably shrink this a little bit more to give it that curvature we need. We're gonna wanna put a couple of gathers in this spot. That way we can shrink this down and get this curvature. This is a gathering tool that I had built a while back. I got the idea from Pro Shaper. When I went and took that class with Ray Chalene, he had one of these on a big press, and I figured, well, this is just sheet metal, it doesn't need a giant press. So I ended up building this thing, and I had a foot pedal on it at first, and I showed Ray, and then he created one that was even better than mine. So I ended up recreating this one to be a little bit more like his. But I mean, it works flawlessly, and I might put the plans for this up online, but for now, let's just continue. See how beautiful that works? I mean, it's just flawless. Okay, let's hammer these out and get back on it. You want to capture that tuck in there. I don't have a stump or a shrinking facilitator here with me, so I'm just using a regular piece of wood. See that spine right there? That's what you're wanting. You're wanting that nice spine in there. We can hammer it a little more, but that's telling me that this is actually capturing that tuck and the metal's actually shrinking. Put a couple more in here. Just planishing that out a little bit so it's easier to put in the wheel, but all right, let's go ahead and roll this a little more here. Take this out of position so I got it, so I can roll it easier. Okay, now that's a little too curved, but once we start putting this bend in it again, we're gonna end up a little closer to that initial curve we were looking for. It's got more curve than it did. It might take more shrinking, it might not. Let's see what we got. Okay. Remember our marks, we got to line these up. Now you can see that we're getting a lot closer. This could take a little bit of shrinking, but look at how tight this is now. That's beautiful. That's getting me in the right position to be able to scribe this, cut it, and weld this, and put this panel exactly 2 inches out without just a shitty straight piece in there, right? We actually got some curvature in it. We're actually basically rebuilding this side of the fender. But step back and look at it. That's actually looking really nice. And this section's easy, and this section's fairly easy too. These can actually, I think, be straight pieces, and they don't have to be cut at a curve or anything like that. But I'm going to keep rolling this in the English wheel and shrink this edge, and we're going to get that a little bit closer, planish some of this out, and then we'll continue on to the next piece. We might get this side done after this one, and then move on to the front. Okay guys, we're about to do the same thing. I'm going to put some of these tabs on the back side, and I'm going to tack these in and pull these out to get these clecos out of my way. All right guys, we got those tacked in, and these are going to come out. I'm not leaving these in here. We're going to do sheet metal. We're going to make this like it never happened. So this is just a flat piece. Kind of just trying to see what I have to do here. Tuck that one under there. I mean, that's pretty good. We got some funkiness in here. This needs to curve over. It needs a little bit. It needs to be wheeled just a little bit. And remember, we want to stay away from these holes. But let's go ahead and wheel that and see how close we could get. See if we could get this transition. I'm not going to hammer this one. I'm just going to start wheeling because we need a really low crown panel. Might have put a little too much crown in this, at least on this side, so we'll stretch this edge, flatten it out a little bit. Okay, see how it's kind of wavy? We'll hit it at a 45. Just kind of shrink these areas so that it's nice and smooth. We don't want no oil canning or waviness. 45 degree right at that little wave. Just take it out. That wave's pretty much gone now. Right on the edge. Right close to this corner. Try to straighten that side out. All right, let's try that. That actually don't look too bad. Nice and quick. This piece and this piece are kind of going together like this. I might have to stretch from here to here just to get it to kind of like go out a little bit. So I think this is where I want to keep this thing. So I'm going to put my reference marks. Okay, and then I'm thinking from here to about there. Stretch. All right, we're gonna stretch in this area, get that to curve out just a little bit, and then let's see where we're at after that. Let's try to fit that. I think that looks pretty good. Even this transition looks pretty good right here. Could be manipulated a little bit, but all right, guys, we're gonna do the same thing again. We're gonna brace this probably like right here and down at the bottom, tack it, and then get these clecos out of our way again. All right. This one's really simple. All we gotta do is make that curve, bring this down and around. We'll probably hammer in the center again, stretch that center and get this side to come down. Let's go ahead and wheel that. All right. Let's see what that looks like. It probably needs to curve a little bit more, but let's see how close we are. Okay, it's getting pretty close. We got this gap here, so I'm gonna probably have to lay a couple of shrinks in this. Not very many, just a few, to get this to pull down and drop around this side. And I think we're gonna weld right along this edge. And take that whole 3/4 inch flange that we left on there. I think we're gonna take that off. Because if we take that off, well, tack that corner where that flange is, then we're gonna have a nice clean weld on this side. And it's gonna look beautiful. So let's go and put a couple of shrinks in this, hammer them out, and keep wheeling. We can always stretch these back out on the wheel if we over shrink it. All right, let's keep wheeling. Let's try that and see what happens. Pretty close. This transition right here, something needs to happen here. We need to bring this down. We need to bring this down. This is no go. Let's see if I could do that one. We'll go, it's closer. Hey guys, thanks for watching part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. Like and subscribe for more fabrication tips and tricks.